Welcome back, behavior scientists. In this video, Executive Vice President Matt Linder goes over tips on how to use social attention appropriately to reinforce appropriate behavior and what not to do when you're giving social attention.
A great example of how something in the environment shows the child that attention is available. As soon as the father or mother is out of line of sight, the kid goes searching for that signal that says, all right, attention's available again, you give it to me, I cry when before it happens. I got an interesting story about attention. We have some family. It's really like my wife's second mom, and she has 4 sons and an extremely high need for attention. And she'll tell you that. She'll be like, "Hi, my name's Jane. I need attention." And one of her sons, her first son that got married, we were at the wedding, and within weddings there are certain rules. Or at least guidelines of what to do and what not to do. Would everybody kind of agree with that? Yeah, absolutely. Nobody really talks about the rules, like don't do this, because you just think everybody knows this, especially the mother of the groom. So there's 200 people at the wedding. It was pretty similar to this actually. And we're sitting down, the music starts, and she starts walking down the aisle with her husband. And everybody turns around, and you see Jane in a, not white, thankfully not white, but bright red dress. Like really, really red. One of those, attention-taking colors that, you're really not supposed to do at the wedding. So, and to top it off, there's sequins everywhere. She looks like a red disco ball walking down the aisle. And I look around and I am laughing. I'm just trying to keep it in. I'm getting the elbow from my wife, and everybody else's face looks exactly the same. And she gets down there, and she's got 3 other sons. It's not like she's not going to have another chance to be the mother of the groom. And we get away from there and go back to the tables and everything like that. And what's everybody talking about? The dress. And when people are going up to her and they're like, "Oh, hi, Jane, how you doing?" They're like, "Oh, Jane, that dress." And she's like, "Thank you." And I'm like, "I don't think that's a thank you situation, but maybe." And it was 2 weeks after the wedding, and we were out to eat with her, and I said, "Jane, I gotta ask you, what the hell were you thinking?" And she just goes, "Oh, well, I wanted lots of attention that day." And I was like, "Oh, okay, shameless at least." So, but that's a really good indicator of how somebody can engage in problem behavior with a small amount of effort to gain access to a ton of attention. She had that all planned out. So that's something that when we see our kids engaging in problem behavior, and it doesn't look very difficult, and yet they continue to do it, it's because it's incredibly reinforcing. Attention can take a whole bunch of different forms too. I think it's something that people forget, is that attention is not just being like, "Oh, hey David, good job." That's one piece or form or type of attention. And when you incorporate a lot of other components like eye contact, proximity, physical attention, reprimands are attention. Okay? Just because you're telling somebody not to do it doesn't mean that it's not attention. Telling a student that you're ignoring them is attention. Well, I'm ignoring you right now, so you can just keep on. Not okay. You have to think about somebody who might be deprived of their need for attention and taking what they can get at that time. There's a lot of times that, anybody ever encounter kids who want negative attention? Yeah, happens sometimes. Often it's the most frequent type of attention that they have access to, and they will engage in that behavior that gets them the most frequent type of attention. It's not that they don't like positive attention, it's not like they don't like other forms of attention, but they'll take what they can get. If I've gone 3 days without food, I might consider eating tuna fish salad and celery. The two most disgusting things on the planet, mind you. It's an objective statement, I think everybody can agree. But I would consider eating them because I need to fill my need for food. And that's what these kids are like. They might go home and get absolutely no attention from anybody. Or their parents are working and they have a nanny or anything like that. So we have to remember that we're trying to provide a new learning history for them and a new set of rules. And the sooner we can program that for that, the better. Excellent. Heather said something in there that's really important that reminded me of something within our previous function, attention, and that is feeling sorry and prompting students to say, I'm sorry. You have to be careful with that, especially anybody with a disability that impedes their social awareness, because that's an important skill to have, and we want people to be able to say, I'm sorry, and show remorse. But unfortunately, what gets built up throughout this behavior is engage in problem behavior, and then you are prompted by somebody, which is attention, to say, I'm sorry, for which you receive more attention. I'm all about apologies. You just have to separate them from the event a little bit. 10, 15 minutes, something like that. That's a good separation before you prompt somebody to say, I'm sorry. Otherwise, right after, oh, I'm getting attention, I'm getting prompted. Somebody else is giving me attention by saying, it's okay, don't worry about it, I know stuff happens. So that's a really important component. And then the biggest one is the name, okay? Sorry if I'm yelling. The name. If you say Matt in here, I'm probably gonna look to whoever says Matt. It's funny, people were in line earlier and like yelling for other people, like, hey, we're sitting over here and all this sort of stuff. And there's an Ann in here. I heard your name being called. You're famous now, Ann. But there's no better way to provide somebody attention than to say their name. And I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting in classrooms watching, whatever person in the classroom who's trying to get a handle on this behavior, and not for any fault of their own. It's all about training and oversight and consistency. But there was a student, we'll call him Steve, and Steve used to get out of his desk and walk around the classroom. And I'll tell you what, Steve did it for attention because I did the functional behavior assessment. And I watched the staff member going, he gets up and she goes, Steve, like 12 times. No direction, no anything, just Steve. And Steve's going, this is great. I get to get out of my desk, take a little walk, and somebody just cheers for me the entire time. So when you're thinking about using a student's name, and if you have to redirect them and you have to provide some level of attention, take their name out of it. Okay? It will limit how valuable and the magnitude of that attention. If you're going to use their name, use it when you provide praise. Steve, great job getting your work finished. Just stay in your seat. That's amazing. Let's get up and do 10 jumping jacks or run around or whatever it is, or go for a walk in the hallway. Just me and you. We'll have some quality one-on-one, whatever it is, Use their name when you provide praise. It's one of the easiest little switches that you can do that's going to have a potentially immediate impact in what you're doing, just by switching when you use the name. One other story about escape. It doesn't necessarily have to be from something like work or school or anything like that. It can simply be from something unpleasant. It's a little bit of background about me. I had a girlfriend in college for a little while, and then we broke up. We were not compatible. We'll just say that much. How about that? I'm sure she's a super nice lady now. About a year removed, It's funny, I was just telling Raph this yesterday. About a year removed from our breakup, you get this feeling in here. Anybody ever get that feeling where you're like, I just can't be here right now. I can't be doing this. I don't know what that feeling is, but it's powerful. Like, get me out of here. So sometimes when we're working with kids and they don't want to do schoolwork, instead of jamming it down their throat and saying, well, you have to anyway, think about it. That worksheet is that kid's ex-girlfriend. And he has that feeling. So let's try to make it a little bit less painful for him so that he might just, do some of it.